Calm, a recent history. This humble town serves as a transport hub for the grasslands, hence the distinctive bailey built for the monitoring of commercial and private traffic. During the war with the Republic of Junon, Shinra saw fit to occupy Calm due to its stout fortifications and strategic value, and it has remained under company control ever since. As it lacks a reactor of its own, Calm is reliant on Midgar and its pipelines for a steady supply of Mako, which is stored in a large tank for regulated use. This arrangement allows the residents to enjoy both modern conveniences and a healthy environment, a combination that has attracted many new residents of late. 10 years ago, a significant portion of the town was damaged, though Shinra quickly intervened and carried out a comprehensive reconstruction effort. Details regarding the incident and the extent of the destruction are sparse. Flora and fauna of the grasslands. In stark contrast to the barren, Mako-ravaged outskirts of Midgar, the ecosystem of the grasslands remains relatively unscathed. Streams flowing from the central mountain range nourish the lush meadows below, which sustain a diverse range of species. Ranchers and farmers also benefit greatly from this bountiful environment. Vast wetlands make up much of the southern region. In days past, boats and chocobo carriages were a common sight, but as most goods are now transported by sea or air, traffic through the wetlands has steadily decreased. Moreover, as an immense man-eating serpent dubbed Midgardsormr has been sighted in the area of late, few dare to brave the old trails. Even those capable of evading the gargantuan snake may yet fall victim to one of the many inescapable quagmires. The Mithram Mine, changing with the times. A natural passage through the mountains between Junon and the grasslands, this mine has long served as a rich source of mithram. The mineral boasts an exquisite shimmer and remarkable strength, and was historically used to fashion the very finest weapons and armor, but it fell out of favor after Shinra developed superior synthetic materials. After the mine was closed, the Republic of Junon converted it into a tunnel for the general public, allowing travel to and from the grasslands. The glistening mithril deposits drew regular sightseers as well. Following Shinra's triumph over the Republic, however, the tunnel has been effectively abandoned. Various sections have fallen into disrepair, and the depths are host to untold dangers. The rise and fall of the Republic of Junon. The people of Junon were once largely seafarers who only returned to the shore to peddle the bounty of the ocean. Unlike other communities that settled in a single location and gradually expanded their territory, these sailors preferred the freedom of the open sea and, over time, banded together with like-minded souls to form a unique society. As a republic, they repurposed a flotilla of large vessels to construct a floating city that would serve as the center of their trade network. Having forged a robust infrastructure, they then set their sights on uniting the disparate peoples of the world. Though Junon ushered in an era of economic and cultural prosperity, it was not to last. Shinra's revolutionary Mako technology put paid to their ambitions, and their once proud city now slumbers beneath the waves. Junon, the fortress city. Having conquered the Republic of Junon, Shinra constructed a nigh impregnable fortress on the coast in the heart of their enemy's former territory. Powered by the world's only underwater Mako reactor and equipped with a colossal cannon capable of firing as far as Wutai, the stronghold resembles a vast battleship risen from the deep to defend the eastern continent. Junon is a city composed of multiple levels, each of which is lined with uniform buildings that were originally designed to serve the needs of military personnel. After the war with Wutai, some were converted into hotels and retail outlets, and the harbor and airport now see a constant stream of civilian visitors. Military exercises are still conducted frequently, however, and should the need arise, defense countermeasures can be deployed at a moment's notice, transforming the city into a fortress, ready to repel would-be invaders. Costa del Sol, a recent history. Though Costa del Sol is now a renowned beach resort, it was once home to a string of humble fishing villages. However, when relations between Shinra and the Republic of Junon began to deteriorate, Shinra annexed this portion of the coast. After the war, the company designated the area for redevelopment, transforming it into the must-visit location for avid sunseekers that it is today. Costa del Sol offers vacation packages to suit any budget, allowing travelers from every corner of the globe to savor the idyllic beaches. Plans that include a trip to the Gold Saucer have proven particularly popular. Corel, a tale of decline. Coal was in high demand in the days of the Republic, and the wealth of Mount Corel drew miners from far and wide. Though the work was hard and dangerous, the laborers banded together to overcome their difficulties, forming a close-knit community in the process. Alas, the advent of Mako saw the price of coal plummet, spelling disaster for the people of Corel. As they struggled to find a way forward, Shinra proposed the construction of a Mako reactor, and, after much debate, the villagers accepted the offer. The reactor was constructed with astonishing haste, but just prior to being brought online, it was torn apart by an immense explosion, and has been left in ruins ever since. The Rise of the Gold Saucer. The tale of the Gold Saucer begins with a Shinra employee named Dio, who convinced the company to build a museum called the Reliquary. Although it was doomed to failure, Dio was not to be deterred, and he set about founding the world's largest theme park, which he first conceived as a small-scale fairground. In the wake of the Corel Mako reactor explosion 4 years ago, plans were set in motion to revitalize the local economy. Hearing this, Dio decided to relocate his fairground to the region, eventually transforming it into a state-of-the-art entertainment complex. Now known as the Gold Saucer, it is powered by several modular reactors, which are responsible for the surrounding area's accelerated desertification. In light of this, the reactors are now run at minimum output in an attempt to mitigate further damage to the environment. Gongaga, a recent history. In ancient times, Gongaga was settled by descendants of the Cetra, who lived in quiet seclusion. The region was largely ignored by later kingdoms and empires until the Republic of Junon thought to expand its influence westward. They soon discovered, though, that the expense of establishing trade routes through such dense jungle far outweighed the benefits of reaching the small communities there, and elected to instead construct an airstrip and little else. When war erupted between the Republic and Shinra, people the world over were impacted to varying degrees. Those in Gongaga were the rare exception, as being so far removed from the theater of war meant that they were not subject to forced conscription, nor were their villages ever host to the bloodshed. Life in Gongaga. The village of Gongaga lies at the heart of the humid jungle, where many species of moss, fern, and mushroom thrive. Its people have a long tradition of self-sustenance, growing only enough produce and raising only enough livestock to support their collective. Though the village is by no means commercially enterprising, the Gongaga mushroom endemic to the region is renowned for its rich aroma and commands a high price. Gongaga's fortunes took a turn for the worse following an explosion at the nearby Mako reactor. Though much of the jungle was temporarily declared a disaster area due to its elevated position, the village itself escaped the worst of the fallout, a small mercy considering the devastation wrought below. The Gongaga Mako reactor incident. First-generation Mako reactors, based on the one built in Nebel, are prone to malfunction due to flaws in the pressurization system's design. This, however, did not deter Shinra from installing them at various locations throughout the world, including Gongaga. The company's failure to follow their own inspection and maintenance procedures led to a disastrous explosion which claimed the lives of many villagers. Acknowledging its part in the incident, Shinra dedicated a monument to the victims. This accident was not an isolated occurrence, though, as at least one other reactor is known to have exploded in a similar fashion. Stranger yet, Shinra has been investigating alleged sightings of gigantic life forms known as weapons near the remains of these destroyed Mako reactors. Cosmo Canyon. Environmental conditions. Cosmo Canyon is located in the south of the western continent, where countless valleys and caverns have formed in the red clay. In ages past, seismic activity forced this soil to the surface, where it was later eroded by the surging life stream below, giving the region its unique appearance. Throughout the year, the canyon sees very little rainfall, and the temperature variation between the plateaus and gorges is considerable. As such, it is extremely difficult to grow crops, and the mere act of survival is a daily struggle. Nevertheless, the canyon is a prime destination for students of planetology. In addition to scholars and devotees, many tourists can also be found here, seeking to take in the mystical air. In more practical terms, the arid conditions and lack of cloud cover facilitate the observation of celestial bodies, making the canyon popular among astronomers. Life in Cosmo Canyon. The founders of the canyon's eponymous village made use of the naturally formed caves, and, following the emergence of planetology, more and more people found themselves drawn to the place. The makeshift walkways and tent-like domiciles have only increased in number as the settlement continues to expand to this day. Rather than rely on Mako, the villagers built an array of windmills, and each home is equipped to store this generated electricity. A leading planetologist, Bugenhagen, introduced this form of wind power to Cosmo Canyon, and it is said his technical marvel was inspired by the ways of the Cetra. When it comes to nutrition, the villagers' diet consists mainly of grain and legumes grown around the village, supplemented by game meat obtained with traditional hunting methods. The Cetra and the Gi. In the distant past, the Cetra made contact with the Gi, entities who could not return to the life stream. Pitying their plight, the Cetra built altars to commune with and calm these tormented souls, in the hope of finding a means to coexist peaceably. Over time, the Cetra grew increasingly aware of the dire fate that would befall the planet, and resolved to entrust their knowledge to the people of Cosmo Canyon. These teachings would become the foundation of planetology, which continues to be refined through research and discourse, even as it is spread throughout the world. When the Cetra finally departed Cosmo Canyon, none remained to provide solace to the Gi, who, in their festering anguish and rage, were driven to turn on the villagers. Many brave warriors gave their lives to beat back these vengeful spirits, entombing them in their prison once more. Mount Nebel and the birth of Mako energy. It is said that beyond the desolate, jagged crags of Mount Nebel lies the land of the dead, and few dare to approach its slopes. Indeed, even plant life struggles to find a foothold here, and with tumbling boulders and rock slides a constant threat, the locals see little reason to make such a perilous journey. Many of the mountain's caves are filled with Mako vapor, and the inner reaches contain Mako springs and naturally formed materia. Shinra's search for a new energy source led them to Mount Nebel, and its abundant supply of Mako made it the ideal site for the world's first reactor. Although it played an instrumental role in the proliferation of Mako energy, the Nebel reactor's time in the spotlight was brief, and it now operates at greatly reduced capacity. Nibelheim, a recent history. In the shadow of the jagged formations at the foot of Mount Nebel, the village of Nibelheim had little to offer the outside world. However, their quiet existence would change dramatically with Shinra's discovery of vast reserves of Mako within the mountain. The company's efforts began with the construction of Shinra Manor on a plot of leased land. It was there that the head of research and development, Professor Gast, and his assistant, Professor Hojo, pioneered studies on Mako and Genova. Shinra's financial investment delivered the people of Nibelheim from poverty. Their newfound happiness and prosperity would be short-lived, though, as the entire village was burned to the ground and countless innocents slaughtered by Sephiroth.